A cold night and a distant star. Few things draw us in like the promise of a new RPG adventure. Obsidian Entertainment has returned to the stars with The Outer Worlds 2, a sequel carrying the weight of high expectations. It's not just another space romp. It's a chance for one of the most beloved RPG studios to show how far their craft has come since 2019's original journey. Now let's head to your favorite bar, grab a drink, and join me for today's story about The Outer Worlds 2. Does its sharper politics and better gunplay make it worth your night?
Brace for impact.
Unable to brace for impact.
Welcome to Arcadia, a star system as beautiful as it is corrupt. The Outer Worlds 2 spins a grand spacefaring yarn that stands on its own, so newcomers can jump in without prior knowledge. After a pretty long tutorial, you awaken from cryosleep to find Arcadia in chaos. A trio of powerful factions jockey for supremacy, and reality itself is threatened by strange cosmic rifts. As an agent of the Earth Directorate, essentially a galactic regulatory force, you're thrown right into this brewing storm. From the first hours, it's clear the stakes are high and deeply political. Obsidian has sharpened its satirical knife. The story leans into themes of power and exploitation even more boldly than the first game. Yet, for all its commentary, the tone maintains a playful warmth. Imagine a cocktail of space opera adventure and corporate dystopia, garnished with sardonic humor. The writing had me smirking at clever one-liners and absurd world details. Compared to the original, Outer Worlds 2 feels a bit more grounded and less overtly zany. The satire is still front and center, but it's delivered with a straighter face. This pays off in a narrative that can be genuinely gripping. The game isn't afraid to ask you to make tough calls between lesser evils among its factions. You'll often find yourself pausing to ponder who actually deserves your support in this messed up universe. Crucially, I won't detail story twists or specific quests. What I can say is the narrative builds momentum over time. The first act is a slow burn, introducing you to the major players and problems of Arcadia. But stick with it. By the midpoint, the plot kicks into high gear, with intriguing conspiracies and shifting alliances. The latter half of the game had me truly torn by the morally gray decisions on my plate. In true RPG fashion, your choices can significantly alter the story's course and its ending, making the tale feel personal. Through it all, the tone walks a tightrope between cynicism and hope. One moment you're laughing at a dark joke, the next you're genuinely invested in saving a colony teetering on the brink. It's a balance that Obsidian pulls off with maturity and heart, which brings us to the rules that shape the voice, the systems and the progression that let Arcadia answer you back. If you love tinkering with character builds and stats, The Outer Worlds 2 will be a delight. Obsidian has overhauled and refined the RPG systems from the first game in smart ways. For starters, the old attribute system is gone. Instead of rolling strength, intelligence, etc., you now choose a background and traits, either one positive or two positives if you also take one negative. These might give you bonuses and sometimes trade-offs that define your origin and personality. For example, you could be a gambler who is witty, an ex-convict who is brawny, and even a dumb professor if you really want to. It's a flavorful way to start role-playing immediately, and these choices aren't just cosmetic. NPCs will notice and react to them in dialogue, which is a fantastic touch. The skill system has been streamlined into 12 broad skills, covering everything from speech and stealth to guns, engineering, and beyond. Each level up grants you 2 skill points, so every choice counts. In fact, the game deliberately prevents you from becoming a master of all trades. You simply won't have enough points to max everything, and that's by design. In my case, I focused on speech, stealth, lockpick, and a bit of melee. A sneaky silver-tongued bastard who can bullshit my way through most obstacles. This felt rewarding and right. There were moments I couldn't hack a high-level computer or brute force a door, but I could talk my way past guards or find a hidden vent to bypass a fight. The game consistently respects your build by offering unique solutions suited to your strengths. Conversely, it isn't shy about closing some paths if you lack the requisite skill. There are static skill checks for things like persuading a character or repairing a machine. You either meet the requirement or you don't, so each build will see a slightly different slice of content. That gave my playthrough a wonderfully personal feel, knowing I was shaping a story unique to my character's abilities. Progression goes beyond just skills. You gain a perk every even level, starting at level 2, and many of the juiciest perks require commitment to a playstyle. For example, a high level stealth perk grants a massive melee ambush bonus, while top tier dialogue perks yield big quest rewards or price breaks. Even more interesting are the flaws. Throughout the game, the system monitors your actions and weaknesses. You might be offered bad knees after lots of crouch sneaking or kleptomania if you steal often. When a flaw is offered, you get a choice: accept it and take a permanent handicap in exchange for an extra perk point as compensation. You can refuse it if it doesn't suit you. I was surprised how much I loved this mechanic. It's completely opt in, but it led me to shape my character's story in my head. Yes, my character has bad knees after crawling everywhere. That tracks. These flaws give your protagonist a bit of humanity and vulnerability in exchange for power, which feels very much in spirit with classic pen and paper RPGs. And unlike the first Outer Worlds, where flaws were few and inconsequential, here they felt more impactful and cleverly integrated into gameplay. The result of all these systems is an RPG that's both accessible and deep. If you're new, you won't be overwhelmed. The UI clearly explains what everything does. If you're a min-maxer, you'll find plenty of satisfying ways to optimize and break the game in your favor. Ultimately, every system in Outer Worlds 2 feeds into that core mission, letting you roleplay your spacefarer as you see fit and feel the consequences, good or bad, of those choices. Now that your character has a spine and soul, the next question is simple. How does it feel when words fail and the shooting starts? When the first muzzle flash blooms in Arcadia, you feel it in your palm, a thrum of recoil, and a promise that the next shot will land where you mean it to. You move in first person or third person, whichever fits the moment, and the sequel's aim is steadier, the kick cleaner, the follow through more honest. It sits a notch under the glide of a pure shooter, yet well above the older, looser RPG feel, a pocket where intent translates into hits. Guns speak the familiar dialects: pistols that snap, rifles that punch at range, shotguns that fold a hallway. Heavy frames roar when you need a problem ended fast, and blades, from workmanlike machetes to humming edges, answer up close with real weight. Then the science pieces bend the rules and grin while doing it. A shrink ray can turn a brute into a bug underfoot. A spectrum dance saber rewards timing with rising damage. A pop-up gun scatters ad drones that pull eyes and fire. And there are big toys that spend rare charges for spectacle and control. Modding lets you tune the note you want to hear. Scopes steady the hand. Suppressors make a careful shot vanish into the room. Magazines and emitters convert rounds to plasma, shock, corrosive, or even N-ray. Gadgets are the new lever that changes how you think mid-fight. Trigger tactical time dilation and the world drags just enough that you can breathe. Raise the gas energy deflection and a temporary shield buys you a second you did not have, the kind that wins a doorway. Click the N-ray scanner and silhouettes glow through walls, wiring syncs, weak points light up, and you plan the next few meters instead of gassing at them. Some tools even reshape the field. An acidic dematerializer reduces a body to nothing so patrols do not find what you left behind, while pale thruster boosts catch a mid-air jump and turn a bad angle into a flank or a quiet shortcut. All of these run on energy, a shared resource that empties fast if you panic. Invest in science and that bar grows longer, recharges quicker, and perks can stretch uptime or trigger lifesavers when your health dips. The kind of small edge that decide who walks out. Stealth finally feels readable. Detection cones are clearer. Patrol trace patterns you can learn, and maps favor vents, catwalks, back doors, and side alleys, so you can test the route, adjust, and make silence feel like a rhythm. But well, the AI is kind of stupid though. Never mind, let's go back to the topic. It is not only about disappearing, it is about managing what you leave behind. With the right skill or gadget, a body is gone, an alarm never rings, and a whole wing stays asleep while you pass. Speech still changes the temperature of a room. A calm line can break a standoff before the first muzzle climb. A well-placed check opens a route, or turns a tense crowd aside so the bullets never have to fly at you. The systems let you build toward moments that sing. A silenced long gun, a crouch bonus, and a clean angle can reset a room with a first shot, while a crit-leaning rifle and a humming scanner turn weak spot bursts into a cadence you can trust. Gadgets and perks tie into each other. Science perks increase slow time, allowing for slower pacing. Scanners highlight and amplify weak points. Shields auto trigger at the brink. And even evasions can drip a little energy back into the tank. Builds breathe because the game gives them air. A patient stealth shooter who melts bodies and moves like a rumor. A straight edge merc in layered armor who leans on shock and burst fire. A mad scientist who solves rooms with gadgets and status effects. A silver tongue who leaves by the same door with no blood on the floor. All of them work when you commit and learn the cadence. That is the heart of it. Guns that feel good, tools that matter, choices that echo, as we step into companions and factions next. A great RPG is often defined by its companions, and The Outer Worlds 2 delivers a memorable crew of misfits to travel with. There are 6 companions total that I've met, each with their own rich backstory, personal quests, and distinct combat skills. There's an eclectic bunch. One of the first you meet is Niles, an overeager nice guy, recruit, who represents the idealism of the colony's youth. He's earnest and kind hearted, but has an interesting twist to his character. As you get to know him, he's not just a yes man. On the opposite end, I quickly grew fond of Tristan, a hammer wielding lawman who talks like he's judge, jury, and executioner. His hyper serious devotion to law and order provided some hilarious banter against my more sarcastic protagonist. The companion roster covers a wide range of archetypes. There's a brilliant but cynical scientist, a devout member of a religious order grappling with doubt, a mercenary with a heart of gold, and more. Each of them feels fully realized. What's especially clever is how companions tie into the world's factions and philosophies. Much like how Mass Effect or Knights of the Old Republic would give you party members aligned with different viewpoints, Outer Worlds 2 uses its companions to embody the major factions' perspectives. By talking to them, you can talk to them a lot, both on your ship and during missions. You organically learn about the powers at play in Arcadia. One companion might staunchly support the authoritarian protectorate government. Another might have a personal vendetta against the megacorporation Auntie's Choice. Their banter and occasional inter-party squabbles clue you in on the philosophical disagreements that define this world. It's a brilliant narrative device. Instead of dry lore dumps, you get invested because your friend and crew member cares deeply about these issues. The factions themselves are compelling in a grotesque, satirical way. Arcadia's power struggle is essentially a three-way struggle between the Protectorate, which imposes order with an iron fist, Auntie's Choice, the massive corporate syndicate born from a merger of Spacer's Choice and Auntie Cleo, and the Order of the Ascendant, rogue scientists turned faith-based futurists who treat math like a ritual and preach perfection through the universal equation. There are other smaller factions and subgroups, but these three are the big ones. None of them are good guys. Each is deeply flawed and often downright tyrannical in their own ways. The game's central political conflict basically asks, which poison will you pick up, or can you find a clever way to keep them in check? Because you'll have to deal with all of them while trying to resolve the crisis of the rifts. I won't spoil how you can influence these factions, but rest assured, your choices matter. You can ally closely with a faction, double-cross them later, or try to remain independent and play all sides. There is a reputation system tracking how each major faction, and some minor ones, feel about you based on your deeds. It's entirely possible, for instance, to anger the Protectorate so much they label you an enemy of the state. One of my late-game quests had a very different tone because of how I had dealt with their leader earlier. Companions react to all this too. They are not silent observers. If you make a decision that clashes with a companion's morals or loyalties, expect to hear about it. In fact, under certain conditions, a companion can even be lost if pushed too far. This dynamic adds weight to your actions. It's one thing to upset a distant faction, but it's another to lose a friend who's been fighting by your side for hours. On the flip side, if you consistently support a companion's ideals, they show gratitude and might even change their outlook over time. Each companion also has a personal loyalty questline, which usually ties into the larger themes. Completing these quests not only yields great story payoffs, but can grant them improved abilities or gear. The party banter as you explore is constant and entertaining. They'll chat with each other and comment on places you visit, which makes the world feel alive. By the final act, I was so attached to all of them that I genuinely felt sad thinking I might have to choose among them in the endgame. That speaks volumes about the writing. This crew really is the heart of the journey. There's a special magic in a game that can whisk you away for an evening, and The Outer Worlds 2 absolutely has that magic. For fans of the first game or Obsidian's RPG lineage, this sequel is everything you hoped for and more. It takes the foundation of Outer Worlds 1 and it builds it bigger, smarter, and sharper. The political satire cuts deeper, the role playing systems dig further, and the world is richer with possibilities. If you cherished Fallout New Vegas's branching quests or Mass Effect's memorable companions, you'll feel right at home here, sipping in the witty dialogue and reveling in the meaningful choices. It's the kind of game where you finish a major quest line and immediately wonder how differently it could have been played out if you'd chosen another path, a feeling that true RPG connoisseurs crave. In the end, what makes The Outer Worlds 2 special is its personality. It's a game with a warm, mischievous soul, the kind of warmth you feel when a storyteller really cares about the tale they're telling. The hours I spent in Arcadia never felt wasted or dull. The improved gunplay meant the action parts of the night were thrilling, and the sharper politics meant the quiet moments made me think. This balance of brains, heart, and adrenaline is where Outer Worlds 2 truly shines. Is it worth your night? Absolutely. It's worth many nights under its strange sky, exploring its dangerous frontiers and meeting its flawed, wonderful characters. By the time the credits rolled for me, I felt like I had not just played a game, but lived a grand, offbeat space saga tailored to my choices. I'll raise a glass to that. The Outer Worlds 2 is a voyage I wholeheartedly recommend. A stellar RPG odyssey that proves your night and your story in Halcyon's sister colony will be one to remember.